Thank you very much for coming here today to the Rise Mzansi Citizens Assembly to talk about the issue of water. We are very happy to be here in Hammanskraal because we know that Hammanskraal is a community that has suffered from a problem of access to clean water. The Constitution says everyone has a right to sufficient water. So after 30 years in our democracy, the taps should be flowing. And the Constitution also says everyone has a right to human dignity. And I think we all understand that without water, it's often difficult to have dignity. So water is a political issue.
Ka lebitso ke Vuiswa Ramokgopa, ke premier candidate ya Rise Mzansi for the upcoming elections. A ke re la tseba re ka di 29 go votiwa. And re votela mang, national le provincial a ke re. I'm looking forward to serving you and to helping the community of Hammanskraal. We have been dealing with this issue, ya metsi, for some time. Ibile, we have consulted some serious experts la ba bona ke ba. We did not sit mo khoneng and write our policy ya metsi. Because the problems that we have mo country ya rona di complex, and they need people ba nang le tlhaloganyo. People that can actually solve the problems. Not political rhetoric, not promises. Re kgathetse ke di empty promises. Re batla batho ba nang le technical capacity to solve the problems. And we are not going to wait another 30 years to resolve those problems. So ha re batla new leaders, baetapele ba batjha. We are not just saying any leaders. We are saying competent leaders. Leaders ba itseng mmereko ya bona. Leaders who are willing to serve the people. So we've brought experts today. Did you know, gore we currently, even though South Africa is a water scarce country, so ha rena metsi, like in general, we have low rainfall. South Africa gets 500 millimeters of rainfall per year. Global average, 850 millimeters per year. So that's why really we are a water scarce country. So even that water that we get, 35% of the water that is available for us is wasted. And it gets wasted by yona issue ya infrastructure. We have to prioritize repairing the infrastructure, and as Rise Mzansi, we will focus on repairing the infrastructure and ensuring that every single community, particularly communities like this one in Hammanskraal, can get freely available access to water.
Aus Joanna Mangani, from this community, known to many of you, somebody who knows what it is like to struggle for water, to provide water, why water is important for growing crops, why water is important for the peace and the stability of a community.
Yo emimfa ki Joanna Mangani from Ward 14, mo region 2. Ke le dumedisa ke le fana ke Nkuku o nang le 67 years. Re na le mengwaga e le mentsi re sokola metsi re ya godimo le fase re godisa bana ka bothata metsi a tla ka nako yona eo metsi a le mo dipompong a ditshila a tla mo rena a le ditshila ha o khone o tlhatswa washene ha o khone o apeya ka ona ho a bidisa a phuphuma lefulo a tswa ditshila a tswa metsi a matala ba bantsi family tsa rena di bolaile ke cholera ka baka la ona metsi ana re tlhokofaletse ke difemedi le batswadi ka baka la metsi ana. Bjaanong re ntse re kgopela bosiu le motshehare re re ba re lokisetse, ba re botsa ba re fora ba re tlo le lokisetsa. He ba re lokisetsa metsi a le matšatši a mabedi, tšatši la boraro metsi a le ha a tswa a nkga, a tswa straight o ka re go tshwetse ditonki, o tshwetse dikgomo ka mogare ga metsi. Re na le bothata bo ba metsi ke bona bo sa re phediseng, e leng yona ntwa ya metsi mo hot 49. Bjaanong bothata bo bongwe ke gore ke na le garden mo pele ga ka, ke beetse garden e ke kgonang go khela bana ba modimo morogo he ba batla morogo, oro dipanana, oro dieiye, oro ditamati le dipotata. Ha ke kgone gore nka nosetsa nyana garden-nyana eo ya ka e thusang batho, metsi ha a teng, ra a tlhoka. Ba re metsi kwa tsatsi le leng la modimo re ntse re di utlwa mo dipampiring oro mo diradiong ba re metsi ra lokisetswa a tlo loka.
There we hear how water is connected to dignity. Water is connected to hope. Water is connected to food. But water supply is also connected to corruption and to maladministration.
Where does the water come from? It's not just from the sky. It comes from the sky, it comes from the ground. It comes every year, different amounts. We get our water from the dams. The dams fill from the rivers come from Lesotho, they come from KwaZulu-Natal, they come through. The government takes that water from the dams, they give it to Rand Water. Rand Water have a look at the water and they look for two things. They look for chemistry and they look for microbiology. And then they take out the chemicals and they take out the bacteria. So the water is safe to drink. They then sell that water to the supplier. Every household is entitled to 5,000 liters of water free per month. We then use the water and then we put it away. We give it to the sewers. And when we take that water and we put it down the toilet, we're giving it back to the government. But we're not giving it back to them clean, we're giving it back to them dirty. And then the government is supposed to take that and they're supposed to treat that sewage and make that clean again before they put the sewage in a river. And then the people downriver, they then use your water because it goes to other dams. That's how it's supposed to work. So we all know, that the one giving us the water is not working, and the one when they're taking it from us, again, it's not working. We know that. The question is, what do we do? How do we use it? How do we be responsible? Because remember, someone else has to use it. And the reason there's cholera here is because someone wasn't looking after your water before you got it. If you've got water, you've got to use as little as possible. In the last census, in 2012, there were 12 million people in Gauteng. We've now got 15 million people in Gauteng. That's 25% more. We don't have more water than we had 10 years ago. So it means we've all got to use 25% less. It's about sharing. It's really about Ubuntu. It flows through our societies. It flows through our consciousness. It's involved in our religions. It's involved in our customs, in our practices. You've got to be active and be citizens. If you're not getting your water, go to your local councils, demand it. But that's really what I wanted to talk a little bit about. This is a complex system. It goes all the way from Lesotho, through Joburg, through Pretoria, to Maputo, or to Orange River mouth at Namibia. Cholera is caused by a germ. It's a germ that's in your tummy and it causes diarrhea. And when you cough on people and you haven't washed your hands properly, you spread the germ very easily. The other problem with cholera is that for 100 people, 90 people who get it won't know. 10 people are very much at risk of dying. The best way you can protect yourself against cholera is to boil water. You have to use a teaspoon of jik in one of those 25-liter drums of water and leave it for half an hour. That will be safe. On the Wits University website, there's a video of what to do to protect yourself against cholera, how to protect when you're washing your fruit and veg, how to look after your children, everything like that. And you can stay safe if you follow that guidance. And it's in every language in South Africa.
I have worked in Hammanskraal since March 2014. I was a city councillor here in the city of Tshwane. I've been a member of parliament and I've been a member of the Gauteng provincial legislature. And I wanted to speak to you about how decisions are taken and sort of the difference in taking decisions that Rise Mzansi is all about. We can't dictate to you what the solutions are. As Rise Mzansi, we come to you, we come to communities, and we ask you, what is it that you want? How can we help you? I think one of the most obvious and most ridiculous examples in Hammanskraal, there's that white bridge outside Renbro. That thing cost millions of rands. Somebody benefited. No one uses that bridge because people get raped on that bridge. They get killed, people get robbed. And that bridge exists because no one came to you as a community and said, what is it that you want? What is it that you actually need? We know here in Hammanskraal, we have so many areas. We'd even have to sit down on a piece of paper to work out how many areas in how many wards have never had running water in the history of Hammanskraal. And even linked to the lack of running water is the lack of refuse removal, which is linked to sanitation as well. Hammanskraal is a forgotten community. You can see this is a government that doesn't care. Truly, we need new leaders. The majority of people in South Africa don't vote. And in 2019, which was the last national elections, that's the first time the majority of registered voters didn't vote in South Africa. So clearly people have given up hope. We honestly have to be our own heroes at the end of the day, to lift up Hammanskraal, to lift up Tshwane, to lift up Gauteng, and to lift up our beautiful country so that we have something to hand over to the next generation. So all that we're trying to do is to offer something new, to make you part of the process. In communities all over South Africa, here in Hammanskraal, even the people in Sandton, ask anyone, who is your member of parliament? Does anyone have any cooking clue? I mean, these people have become totally unaccountable. We're a party for the people, by the people. And some people might see this as sloganeering. It sounds nice. But Rise is really a group of ordinary people. We are here to serve you. We are truly an interconnected people. I am because you are. And in these elections, I'd just like to say, Skaba Fachans, Skaba Hemisa.
Thank you, Michael.
I, as Gilbert Mabasa, I come from Ward 74, Hammanskraal, next to the Hammanskraal police station. We've been there since 1990. We don't have a clean water. I'm talking today when I wake up. I was opening a tap. The water was running brown.
So, Voiswa, I have a question for you. If you are taking power as premier, yes, I know. So, how will you assist the informal settlements within sub-region 2 to have the sufficient water?
Here in Hammanskraal, we really have a serious crisis with water. Actually, the trucks don't come where we usually stay. They pass, like some areas they don't come to, but they come to other areas. So we have a serious crisis. And a question that I would like to ask today is that in countries where there are a lot of floods, I mean, like, how come that we don't have enough water? Like, where do they take that water?
Since we spoke about the issue of Rise Mzansi's plan when it comes to water. But I would like you just to, paraphrase it a little bit when it comes into the issue of the operational part of it, the implementation part of it, and the monitoring and evaluation part of it.
Yeah, my problem is unemployment, man. A robale ka unemployment, re sa le batjha, a re bereke, basadi ba re tlhala because of unemployment.
Thank
Thank you. The question was around when we're seeing all the flooding in other countries and why do we not have water? So South Africa is very strange in the way it's shaped and what's going on. If you look at the borders, our border with Namibia is the Orange River. Our then border with Botswana is like the Limpopo River. It goes across Zimbabwe. And then we come down into Mozambique. So what happens is all the water flows out of the country. No other country except for Lesotho and a little bit in Swaziland flows into South Africa. There's big floods in like Kenya and Tanzania, but that water stays up there. It can't flow to us. We're too far away. And at the same time, we're also getting into this like slightly drought problem. The real hassle right now is climate change. Everywhere is going to get less rain. And the problem is it's not little bit less rain. It's big storms and then nothing. KwaZulu-Natal and Durban, it washed away the wastewater treatment plants, which is why no one can swim in the sea in Durban anymore because it's too unsafe. And it's why we need to also be thinking, how do we adapt to this new future, which is not the same as the past? Things are going to get worse. And we know they're going to get worse. So that's why it's even more important that our political parties address this issue properly.
Ke nagana gore maybe ke thome ka potso ya hao ntate ke kae. All right. So your question tate ke gore how will we help the informal settlements to have water? La hopola re ne ke bua ka infrastructure and the need to prioritize infrastructure development. Because the main challenge ka di informal settlements ke gore batho ba ikagela dintlo before there's proper infrastructure e agilweng underground. So if there's no infrastructure, there can never be water that gets provided through the municipal system. Before re aga dintlo, they are supposed to ensure la tseba re hona nong ba bua ka di serviced stands. Serviced stands are stands tse nang le di services. So water, sanitation, and hopefully even electricity. Now the problem with informal settlements, these are unplanned settlements. So the number one priority, Yarona, is to invest in proper housing. We don't believe as Rise Mzansi that people should be living in informal settlements. Number two, it's a very good question, Abuti Khomotso. Yeah, monitoring and evaluation. And it's important, the management ya metsi happens at two levels of government. Ke local, le national. So, akere re buile re na le Minister wa Water and Sanitation. Then, go locally, we've got Lesa Hopola, utilities and coordination. Now, water is not governed by the province. The province actually does not have any mandate to govern water and water provision. But as Rise Mzansi, we are also represented at a national level. And so we have put in our plan that we want to consolidate the monitoring and evaluation of all the water service authorities. There are, I believe, 82 municipalities that have a mandate to do water provision. And each of those municipalities, in Gauteng, those municipalities should have oversight of national government. We are saying the issue of leadership, it needs to be dealt with at all levels. You can't take all the best people national because it's here at local level that we need the right competent people to actually deliver the services. So today, we came together to talk about a water crisis. But even more crisising, there must be an opportunity. We must create employment opportunities locally for local people. We are busy working on such projects. Ibile, we've got a project now that we are working on, Goval, where we are installing water borehole facilities in an informal settlement, Gobi, Ketlong, Goval, Kosbukeng. But the unemployment crisis is is much bigger than that. I'm not saying gore unemployment yonke is going to be dealt with by this water project, but I'm saying that is how we need to start thinking.
I think just ultimately that we need a new way here in Hammanskraal and in Tshwane. It's true that it is election season. Until the 29th of May, people are going to be promising you anything that you can possibly imagine. There is space for you to rely on and trust and invest in a party like Rise Mzansi because the other parties have honestly failed us. At least Rise Mzansi, what we're doing is partnering with a person like Professor Sheridan that does know what he's doing. In Rise Mzansi, we believe that the best people available have to lead. We do need new leaders. We urge you to step forward and to join us in our vision and our understanding that we need new leaders.
Today, re kopane, and we spoke about the issue ya metsi. But we know that there are many, many other challenges that people are dealing with. We have a massive issue, ya unemployment. We have an issue of millions of people that have been waiting for housing. We have a massive issue, ya mtlakase. Some people call it load shedding, kidi blackout. Some even don't even have electricity. We now have a new issue of drug abuse and drug addiction. If we do nothing, nothing is going to change. Let us fight with the one weapon that we all have, Kadi 29 May. Let us fight with our ex. There is no hagona stunya, hagona nix eto wisang government e. Eto wiswa kidi ex tsa rona, Kadi 29 May. And you, the people of Hammanskraal, will decide who your mayor is, who your MMCs are, and who your councillors are. And when you choose your leader, it will also be you who is able to hold that leader accountable. If that leader fails, letla mo recalla lona. Esingna. That is what Rise Mzansi is working towards. A politics for the people, by the people. Let's go fight our battle in the ballot box on the 29th of May.